Fraser Martin and Shazad Sheikh in the Jaguar XKR-S. We've had a bit of a run in it today, haven't we? What do you reckon?
I like it, I have to say. It's a proper Grand Tourer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a sports car. It's got much firmer suspension than the standard car. But you really need to be pushing it to really get much benefit out of that, I think. As a Grand Tourer, it's absolutely wonderful. But as a sports car, I'm not entirely convinced. I think it's a bit too big and possibly a bit too heavy. We've got plenty of poke.
But here's a question though. As a Grand Tourer, yes, I agree with you. I think it is the better car. But wouldn't you just go for an XKR then?
I think I probably would, because I think if you were just operating as a day-to-day car, and even with sort of distance work as we've done today, sort of heading over the mountains for a day on the East Coast or something, the XKR is going to do the job just as easily, and probably slightly more comfortable.
Yeah. The
problem I have with any of these sort of, STUV extra letters after the R cars, is that it just seems to be more bits that you probably don't actually need and probably don't really get much benefit out of in the long term.
I think it's the perception of them, isn't it? Because ultimately you end up with a slightly compromised car which is selling to people for more money, the perception being that you're ending up in something that's sportier and faster, which I suppose it is, but I think we both agree that the XKR can pretty much do everything that we did today and be just as satisfying and just as much fun.
Well, you just feel the car on this little bit of road here. I mean, this is it's not the greatest surface in the world, but it's a nice little twisty bit of road.
Yeah.
I can feel every single bump.
Yeah.
I don't think that's just down to tyres, although I think they may contribute. But then, if you don't have the tyres, you don't have the top speed, and the whole equation changes.
Yeah.
But this is a really nice car. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not overly noisy. It's relaxing to drive. It's just a little bit jittery when it comes to uneven surfaces. Corners nicely, does all the jobs you would expect it to do, but you feel every single undulation, every single.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the one things I like about the XKR is that they've got a bit of a muscle car character about them. Especially if you start fiddling with the traction buttons and stuff like that, you can have quite a play with them. No, we don't. No, of course not. Of course not. No. Far be it for me to suggest such a thing. But if you were to do that, they do have a tendency to hoon a little bit, if you really want to. But you can hoon as well in the XKR as you can in this one. But having said that, I do like the looks of this. I like the colour that they've done it in. I like the body kit on the car. I like the aggression of the car. I like the way it sits.
The car's a mad colour. It's absolutely astounding. But I'm not sure the body kit isn't a little bit over the top. Those vents on the front wings, for example, I kind of thought that they might be venting through the front wings and into the brakes as some sort of exercise cooling the brakes. Yeah. But actually, they don't vent anywhere. They just vent along the rest of the wing.
Exactly. I think they look cool.
They certainly look cool, yes.
It's as simple as that.
But then you've got the bonnet, you've got
there's vents on the bonnet, the supercharge on it,
the heat out, and other vents on the leading edge of the bonnet to let the cool air in. These are functional, and I think that's good. I'm not entirely convinced that huge amounts of bodywork, that's just a cattle grid. Huge amounts of extra bodywork that don't actually do anything.
No, but I think you're wrong. They do something. They set a character. They set an aura for the car. They make little boys want it.
Okay. Fair enough. It's got an aggressive look to it.
Yeah, it does.
But I'm not sure that aggressive look necessarily goes with the character of the car, because it is still a Grand Tourer. It's an excellent Grand Tourer, but it isn't a sports car. And I can't help feeling that perhaps some of those bits and pieces are just a little bit. It's sort of like NASCAR scoops on a Morris Marina. Kind of defeats the object of the exercise. You're not going fast enough to get the air in. Why bother?
I like the idea of the NASCAR scoops on the North Marina. We'll lower it a bit as well, put some spinners on the wheels, it'll be great.
Right. You're still taking your tablets, aren't you?
I am sometimes, yes. I think I missed today's dose. Fantastic.
But it's a nice comfortable drive. You could sit in this all day.
Yeah. You could demolish distances in this very easily.
For sure. Yes. At least the distances between the fuel pumps. I mean, we've not really been gaining this car at all today.
What are we down to? We're about half a tank. So we've used about half a tank.
Yeah, it's below half now. And with that engine, you expect it to drink the juice, but part of the problem with a car like this is that it just doesn't have enough of a range. I mean, if you have a grand tourer, you want to be doing good, decent days distances. You want to be doing 600-700 kilometres before you have to stop. You won't do that with this car if you're going to run it at the speed it's designed to run at.
No, I mean clearly no. But then, you're not meant to run it at the speed it's designed to run. At least not on public roads anyway. But I think the engines are a lot more efficient now than they ever were. I mean, when we did a fuel economy run in a Maserati some years back, it was extraordinary how far we could have driven that car. Just driving it sensibly, not doing economy driving, but just driving it normally. We could have run it quite a distance. And I think that's true of all modern cars. If you run them sensibly, they will run quite a distance. But you're right. If you're going to run it at anywhere sort of the speeds that it's meant to do, you're going to gobble up fuel pretty damn quickly.
And that's one of the things that I think when the next one comes out has to be addressed. That's the size of the fuel tank. You've got to have range in a car that's designed to do long distances, and this is a long distance car.
What do you think of the interior of this car?
Pleasantly dated, I think would be the way I'd put it. I think the nav system is due for replacement quite soon.
It used to be amongst the best of them out there, but it's been superseded by some others. But I have to say, I still think it's better than, for example, the Maserati system.
Yeah, well, that's
not hard.
I haven't been able to work out anything on the Maserati dashboard at all. There are buttons on it where there just seems to be no logical pattern for their placement. But this is nice. It's classic. I love the stitching. I just hope that if you buy a yellow one, you get yellow stitching, and if you buy a gold one, you get gold stitching.
I think you're right. I think this is body matching. The only thing disappointed me was that the stitching wasn't replicated on the steering wheel.
I didn't notice that. It's a bit of it's a darker blue. You feel those? You can hear and feel every single one of these paint stripes there. These are not major bumps. And just a little bit of softening on that would be enough to take that edge off the car.
That's where you question whether, does it quite fulfill that Grand Tourer role as well as the XKR? Because I suspect in the XKR you wouldn't have felt and heard them as much as in this car.
I think a fair bit of it will have to do with times. But then again, as I say, if it's got to be able to do X kilometres an hour, it needs to have a tyre that's strong enough to do that. I like them. This is very comfortable, and I could sit behind this steering wheel and run like this all day.
Absolutely. I mean, I do love this car, and I have to say I'm torn between this one and the other car that we're testing, which we'll get on to in a little bit.